Hello and welcome to your English language class. Today in this class we will be taking up the question answers and the book exercise of the chapter The Gift of the Magi, written by O. Henry. Now I hope you've understood this chapter well and you've already written the difficult words and word meanings of this chapter. So the first question is, how had Della saved $1.87? So the answer to this would be, Della saved $1.87 by bulldozing the grocer and the vegetable man, which means that she bargained with them and bought the grocery and the vegetables at a cheaper price. Okay. Second question is, why did Della sit down and cry? The answer would be, Della sat down and cried because she wanted to buy an expensive and precious Christmas gift for her husband, but she didn't have enough money. Okay. Third question is, what were the two most important things that the Dillinghams owned? What does the author say to show how valuable they were? So the answer to this would be, the two most important things that the Dillinghams owned were Della's hair and Jim's gold watch. The author says that Della's hair were so magnificent that they would have lessened the value of jewels and gifts of Queen of Sheba. He also says that King Solomon would have plucked at his beard with envy after looking at Jim's gold watch. Fourth question is, why do you think Jim hesitated to look at the time in his pocket watch? So Jim hesitated to look at the time in his pocket watch because of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. Now the B part is think and answer. The first question here is, and here you have read the story of two foolish children who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their home. Yet the author calls Della and Jim the Magi, the wisest of all the people who give gifts. Why? So the answer to this would be, the author called Jim and Della the Magi, the wisest of all the people who give gifts, because only a few special people can sacrifice their valuable possessions for their loved ones. Okay. The second question is, she stood by the window and looked out dully at a grey cat walking a grey fence in a grey backyard. What does the repeated use of grey suggest here? So the answer to this would be, the repeated use of grey suggests that Della was in a gloomy mood and she was feeling hopeless, which was why everything was looking dull and grey to her. Okay. Next is your do and learn part. First is, can you think of a way in which Della and Jim could have given each other lovely gifts without sacrificing their most prized possessions? Think about it and rewrite the story very simply and briefly. Okay. So now here you have to use your creative mind and you have to imagine that if you were in place of Della or Jim, what would have you done? Okay. To gift your counterpart a lovely gift without sacrificing your prized possession. So suppose if you were Della, what would you have done with to give a gift to your husband without cutting and selling off your hair? And if you were Jim, what would you have gifted your wife without selling your gold watch? Okay. So this you have to imagine and rewrite the story in a very simple and brief manner. Second question is, you must have received gifts on many occasions from your parents, your friends and your uncles, aunts and cousins. Do you remember the gift that you loved the most? If you do, write the reason why you loved it so much. Some of the reasons could be. Now, all of you must have received gifts on your birthday, or maybe when you scored good grades in your class. Okay, so you have to write down a small paragraph or a few lines about the gift that you remember. Okay, that you remember receiving, and the reason could be you had been wanting that gift for a very long time, that's why you remember it now. And though small, it was given out of great love, so you were quite moved by the kind gesture of someone, maybe your cousin or your aunt or uncle. Thirdly, the thought behind the gift was beautiful. And fourthly, the gift was very uncommon. So it could be any of the reasons mentioned here that why you still remember that gift which you received on any of the occasions. Okay. Lastly, there is no more. First is O. Henry's real name was William Sidney Potter. Second, O. Henry's stories are known for their surprise endings, like we have seen in this story as well. And thirdly, most of O. Henry's stories are set in New York, a city which was very fond of, which he was very fond of. Okay, so most of the stories which he wrote were set in New York. Okay, because he was very fond of the city, and that's why he preferred writing all his stories set up in New York. Okay, so this was a little information about O. Henry, the author of this story. So you have to do all these question answers and book